João Paulo was helping Dona Roberta get into the car when the commotion began. At 78 years old and with surprising energy, she refused to go to the nursing home, causing a commotion in front of the house. With her voice choked with indignation, she pointed a trembling finger at her son-in-law and protested loudly, attracting curious looks from the neighbors. "Get my things out of there. I never thought you would do this to me, João Paulo," she exclaimed, feeling betrayed and misunderstood. João Paulo, trying to remain calm, explained that he and Amanda had sought the best for her, reminding her that the place was renowned for its care for the elderly and that it offered assistance for her bronchitis and physiotherapy. "Amanda is already there, organizing everything. It's an excellent place, and you'll feel much better there," he insisted, highlighting his wife's dedication to preparing a comfortable environment for Dona Roberta. Despite her son-in-law's arguments, she saw the move as an act of abandonment. The decision seemed cold and cruel to her eyes, as if she were being removed from her own life. "You want to get rid of me, is that it?" she whispered, full of sorrow, remembering the days when she lived with her late husband Geraldo, when she felt safe and loved. The argument in front of the house symbolized much more than a simple move, it was a painful transition and a difficult family adjustment. As the sunny afternoon wore on, Dona Roberta, with tears in her eyes, felt the weight of loneliness and the pain of saying goodbye to a life that, for her, still made sense. Amidst the uncertainty and the hope that, somehow, everything could be resolved, she reflected in silence on why she was going through such a difficult time. The absence of her beloved Geraldo, who had always been her refuge and security, was still an open wound in Dona Roberta's heart. Geraldo, an upright man dedicated to his family and work, worked as a security guard at a local bank. She remembered how he would leave her house every day with a calm smile, promising to return. But one fateful afternoon, during a bank robbery, a violent shootout turned his everyday departure into an eternal goodbye. Amidst the chaos and loss, Geraldo's body was never found, as if the confusion of that day had swallowed up his presence forever, along with 3 other victims. The pain of this loss always accompanied Dona Roberta and her daughter Amanda, who was only 18 at the time. Mother and daughter faced the grief and uncertainty together, uniting even more to overcome Geraldo's absence. Over time, Dona Roberta, determined and resilient, dedicated herself entirely to raising Amanda, transforming the void left by her husband into strength to guarantee her daughter's future. Now, at 78 years old, Dona Roberta faces another challenge: health complications require treatments that the family cannot afford. Amidst the difficulties in accessing expensive medical treatments, Amanda and her husband, João Paulo, made the difficult decision to look for a specialized home that could offer their mother the necessary care. However, Dona Roberta's independent spirit resisted. She refused to accept the idea of leaving the home where she raised her family. With a firm voice, she tried to convince her son-in-law, "My knee is fine, João. I can take care of myself. The boys still need me." Her words were an attempt to stay close to her grandchildren, holding on to what little was left of her family life. João Paulo, in turn, carried the weight of that decision, aware that it was not only a matter of medical care, but also of preserving Dona Roberta's dignity and quality of life. With a firm and compassionate look, he replied, "We will be with you every week, Berta. Don't worry." Her words sealed the end of the discussion and the beginning of a new chapter for the lady, full of uncertainty. During the drive to the location, João Paulo drove slowly, in tune with the weight of that moment. Beside him, Dona Roberta remained in a deep silence, more expressive than any words, while she reflected on the journey they were beginning together, brief in distance, but immeasurable in meaning. João Paulo tried to break Dona Roberta's silence with the gentleness of someone who cares and wants to offer comfort. "There, you will have company your age, games and activities, and a team always available to take care of you," he said, in a calm and affectionate voice. But Dona Roberta remained silent, her gaze fixed on the landscape passing by beyond the window. The city moved around them, but her thoughts were trapped in an ocean of memories and losses that still weighed on her heart. Noticing her resistance, João Paulo tried once again to find words that would ease the situation. "You know that Amanda and I can't be with you all the time. The boys stay at school all day, and we end up leaving you alone. There will always be someone close by, and we even have a surprise prepared," he said with a touch of hope, hoping that the new environment could bring some peace to Dona Roberta. Then, with a voice cracked with pain, she replied, "They're leaving me there, as if I were a burden, along with people who, like me, have been abandoned." Tears began to run down her face, each one carrying the weight of a life marked by loss and loneliness. Deep down, she questioned what she had done to get to this point, losing not only her husband, but now also the feeling of family and home. The mood on the trip was one of farewell, not only to a house, but to a phase of life. Upon arriving, João Paulo parked the car cautiously, and with the same delicacy with which he had spoken before, he helped his mother-in-law to get out, aware that each step beside her was also a step towards the unknown. As they walked towards the Casa de Campo and nursing home, Dona Roberta carried with her a mixture of fear and resignation, expecting to find a cold and sad environment that reflected her expectations. To her surprise, what she saw before her was different. The place was welcoming, a kind of oasis of tranquility and care. Smiling nurses welcomed them, helping Dona Roberta into her wheelchair for a tour of the place. As they explored the place, their faces revealed their surprise at the sight of the space, with residents engaged in activities such as card games, physiotherapy sessions, and laughter in the garden. The nursing home, far from being gloomy, radiated a sense of welcome and life, with well-kept facilities and a friendly atmosphere. "See, Dona Berta. It's a beautiful place, isn't it?" commented João Paulo, attentive to any change in his mother-in-law's expression. Although reluctant to admit it, Dona Roberta could not deny the feeling of surprise at seeing people her own age in lively conversation, exchanging smiles and stories that, little by little, opened a small glimmer of hope in her heart. When she saw a woman knitting in the hallway, Dona Roberta felt something rare, a touch of hope. For the first time since she had left, the possibility of new friendships lit up her heart, even if only subtly. She, still apprehensive, commented, "It may even be a beautiful place, but you'll remember me, right?" Her son-in-law smiled, trying to ease the tension with a bit of humor. "Of course, Dona Roberta. We would never stop visiting you," he assured her, as he accompanied her to her room. A nurse, in an animated tone, commented on the accommodations they had chosen. "Your daughter and son-in-law reserved one of the best rooms for you, with a suite, a double bed and lots of comfort." But the idea of such a large, empty bed made Dona Roberta murmur, "A double bed? I don't want to sleep alone in something so spacious." The loneliness seemed to weigh even more heavily. As they approached the bedroom door, however, something surprising awaited her. What she saw made her heart race, and for a moment she stood still. There, not only was Amanda, her daughter, but also someone she had never imagined she would meet again, her beloved Geraldo. "My God, how is this possible?" she murmured in disbelief, her heart pounding. With an emotional smile, Amanda spoke softly, "Hi, Mom. Look who's here with you." João Paulo added, "This is our surprise, Dona Roberta. We found Geraldo." The old lady, stunned, could hardly believe it. There, in front of her, was her husband, whom she thought was lost forever, also in a wheelchair. With tears in his eyes, he murmured, "Hi, my little bean," using the affectionate nickname that had always been reserved for her. The moment was one of pure emotion, with tears of joy and longing rolling down both of their faces. In a tight hug, they put all questions aside to experience their reunion. Geraldo then began to explain what had happened since the fateful day of the robbery. He had been taken by the thieves, who turned out to be organ traffickers, and ended up being transported to Spain, along with other victims. He had survived, but 2 others were not so lucky. Despite all the challenges, the reunion brought new hope to the two, bringing them together again after so many years apart. Geraldo and his partner, both strong and determined, saw physical resistance as a way of survival, which is why the traffickers believed that their organs would be valuable. They decided to join forces for an escape plan. After a daring attempt, they managed to escape, but ended up living for years as illegal immigrants on the streets of Spain, facing severe hardships. Life on the streets was not easy, and Geraldo's friend, due to the unsanitary conditions in a harsh winter, did not survive, succumbing to pneumonia. At the age of 70, Geraldo had the chance to return to Brazil, thanks to an immigrant aid program, which financed the trip back to his home country. With difficulties and without resources, he began an intense search for his family, without knowing that his daughter Amanda had never given up looking for him. After 8 long years of trying, Amanda finally managed to locate him and, upon seeing her father weakened, decided with her husband to place him next to Dona Roberta in a quality nursing home, where he could receive the necessary care. This reunion was much more than the end of a long journey, it was the beginning of a new chapter for Geraldo and Roberta. Tears of happiness and emotion marked the moment when, after so many years apart, their hearts began to beat in unison again. The hug they exchanged was not just a hug of longing, but a silent promise to never be apart again. The hours they spent together were like bricks rebuilding the house of their interrupted story, as if time and distance had never separated them. Their stories from years apart gave way to plans for the future, for a time that, against all expectations, they would now have to share. Over time, Dona Roberta and Geraldo became known at the nursing home for the contagious joy they exuded. Their grandchildren often visited them, filling the place with laughter and games. The presence of the children brought a sparkle to the couple's eyes, and they celebrated each new day with a unique intensity. Now, they chose to put aside their sadness and regrets about lost time, focusing on living each moment together, integrating themselves into activities and long conversations with the other residents. The happiness they radiated became a symbol that love and perseverance are capable of overcoming any distance or difficulty, always offering a new chance at happiness. Dona Roberta and Geraldo enjoyed every moment together after their reunion, trying to live everything that time had denied them. With every laugh, with every gesture of affection, they created new memories that filled the lost years. A decade later, on a serene and starry night, they left this world, side by side, hand in hand in the double bed that had seemed too big before. They were found with calm expressions, as if they were just going on another journey together, where there would be no more goodbyes. The legacy of their love will remain as a source of inspiration for their family, showing that true love, once found, is never lost. If this story touched your heart, the next video will certainly move you too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like it and activate the bell to receive all our next exciting stories. A big hug and see you soon. The disappearance of Geraldo, her beloved husband and true safe haven, was still an open wound in Dona Roberta's heart. She remembered how he, an upright man dedicated to his family, would leave for work as a security guard at a local bank, always with an encouraging smile and the promise to return soon. However, one fateful afternoon, a bank robbery changed their lives forever. Amid the chaos and despair of that shooting, many lives were lost, and Geraldo's body was never found. He seemed to have been swallowed up by the scene of destruction itself, leaving Dona Roberta and her daughter Amanda with an inexplicable emptiness and the painful uncertainty of never having a final goodbye. The loss brought mother and daughter together in their struggle to move on, and Dona Roberta, with the strength she had left, dedicated herself to raising Amanda alone, investing her love and her pain in the young woman's development. Now, at 78 years old, with Amanda married and the mother of 2 young children, Dona Roberta faced a new challenge. Her fragile health and the need for specialized medical care made staying at home increasingly difficult, forcing the family to seek a nursing home that would offer the support they needed for their well-being. Despite everything, Dona Roberta resisted the idea of leaving the home where she had made so many memories. With a determined spirit and the hope of staying close to her grandchildren, she begged her son-in-law João Paulo, trying to convince him that she was still capable of taking care of herself. "My knee is fine, João, I can do anything. The boys need me," she said, with a mixture of pleading and resistance. João Paulo, understanding the emotional weight of that decision, responded with compassion, but also with the firmness that the situation required. "We'll be fine, Dona Roberta. We'll visit you every week. Now, it's time to go." As he led her to the car, Dona Roberta's silence was deep, filled with a sadness that words could not express. The wheelchair, carefully packed in the trunk, was a reminder of his fragile health, and although the trip to the nursing home was short, it seemed to stretch out like a long and painful journey. João Paulo drove slowly through the streets, out of respect for the delicate moment, while the lady next to him remained lost in her thoughts, remembering the days when Geraldo was still there, by her side, to face life's challenges together. With concern and affection, João Paulo gently tried to break Dona Roberta's silence. "You know, there will be people your age, games, and staff available at all times to help you." His voice, calm and full of affection, sought to bring some comfort and encouragement, but Dona Roberta remained quiet, with her gaze lost beyond the window, fixed on the city that slowly passed by while her thoughts remained trapped in memories and a feeling of irreparable loss. João Paulo, still trying to ease his mother-in-law's pain, continued, "Amanda and I really want the best for you, but with the boys at school and our work schedules, you end up spending a lot of time alone. Believe me, we just want you to be well taken care of." His voice carried a hint of hope, in the expectation that this new change could bring some relief to Dona Roberta's scarred heart. But her answer came harshly, full of sadness and disappointment. "You're just abandoning me, like a burden, in a place full of old people who have been left behind, just like me." Tears slowly began to run down her face, each drop expressing a life of struggles and losses. Deep down, she wondered what she could have done to deserve such a fate. After losing her husband and facing a life of loneliness, she felt that she was now losing her family too. The trip to the nursing home was not just a change of address, but from one phase of life to another. When parking the car in front of the Casa de Campo, João Paulo, with a careful gesture, helped his mother-in-law to get out, understanding that each step forward brought her closer to an unknown reality. When they approached the entrance, Dona Roberta expected to find a somber environment, a place that reflected her most feared expectations. However, what appeared before her was an unexpected scenario. The place was, in fact, welcoming and well-kept, a true haven of peace and comfort. Right at the entrance, they were greeted by smiling nurses, who promptly accommodated Dona Roberta in her wheelchair and invited her to see the place. With surprise evident on her face, she observed every detail of the place that would be her new home. As they walked through the hallways, the nursing home revealed a lively and cheerful environment, very different from the gloomy images she feared. Elderly people engaged in various activities seemed genuinely happy. Some played cards, others did physical therapy, while a lively group exchanged stories and laughed in the garden. The nursing home was not only well-equipped to offer medical support, but also cozy and welcoming. "See, Dona Roberta. It's beautiful, don't you think?" asked João Paulo, looking for some change in his mother-in-law's expression. Although reluctant to admit it, Dona Roberta could not deny the surprise she felt upon seeing that group of elderly women chatting happily, a scene that, for a brief moment, lit a spark of curiosity in her heart. Watching a group of ladies crocheting, Dona Roberta felt for the first time since leaving a small glimmer of hope, as if the idea of finding new friends at this stage of her life brought her some comfort. "It may be beautiful, but you won't forget me, will you?" she asked, still afraid of being left behind. "Of course not, woman. Don't even think about it," replied João Paulo, trying to ease the tension with a touch of humor as they walked to her room. A nurse excitedly commented on the vacation organized by the family and pointed out that they had chosen one of the best rooms for Dona Roberta, a spacious suite with a double bed and all the comfort she could want. A double bed? To sleep alone? No need, Dona Roberta murmured, the idea seeming desolate to her. However, as they approached the bedroom door, something unexpected awaited her. She stopped, her heart racing when she saw her daughter Amanda next to someone she never thought she would see again, her beloved Geraldo. In shock, Dona Roberta could hardly believe her eyes. "What, how can it be?" she whispered in disbelief. With tears of joy and surprise, Amanda said, "Mommy, look who's here." Dona Roberta's face lit up, and the confusion gave way to overwhelming happiness. Then, João Paulo stepped forward, explaining, "Dona Roberta, we have a surprise for you. We managed to find Geraldo again." The shock and emotion almost made her lose her breath. There he was, Geraldo, the great love of her life, sitting in a wheelchair, aged by time and by the difficult experiences he had lived through, but still with the same sparkle in his eyes. "Hello, my little bean," he said, with his usual sweet and affectionate voice, using the nickname that had accompanied her for so many years. Tears ran freely down both of their faces, celebrating this unlikely and meaningful reunion. Geraldo then began to tell what had happened since the fateful day of the bank robbery, when he was taken by the criminals. He told how he had been kidnapped and trafficked to Spain by a network of criminals who also sold organs. For years, he had been at the mercy of a situation of pure despair until he finally got help and returned. Now, in front of Dona Roberta, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief, certain that the love that had united them had withstood everything. Both were men of great resilience, and perhaps that is why the criminals kept them, thinking that their organs would be in good condition for sale. However, the two friends decided to fight back. They planned an escape and, after a daring act, managed to escape. From then on, they survived in the shadows of the Spanish streets, facing the harshness of life as illegal immigrants. Years passed in precarious conditions, and Geraldo was only able to return to Brazil at the age of 70, thanks to a repatriation program for immigrants, which helped finance the return of those who wanted to return to their country of origin. Unfortunately, his faithful companion on the journey was not so lucky, losing his life in a harsh winter, victim of pneumonia. Upon arriving in Brazil, Geraldo began a tireless search for his family, an effort that lasted for years. Amanda, his daughter, also never gave up looking for her father, until, after 8 years of searching, she was able to find him again. When she saw him, she realized that he was fragile and needed special care, and that was how she and her husband decided to shelter the two in a comfortable nursing home, where they could both receive the necessary care. This reunion gave Geraldo and Roberta a new opportunity to live together, like a river that finally finds its course and flows into the sea. With tears of emotion and the marks of time on their faces, they embraced as if they would never be separated again, feeling their hearts, once again united, beating to the same rhythm. This embrace was not only a gesture of reunion, but a silent promise of eternal love. They talked for hours, sharing laughter and memories that seemed to make up for lost time. Stories from distant years soon gave way to dreams and plans for the future, surprisingly possible. Little by little, Geraldo and Dona Roberta became the happiest couple in the nursing home, infecting everyone with their happiness. Their grandchildren visited them frequently, filling the place with laughter and jokes that gave a special sparkle to their eyes, reminding them that life, despite its challenges, always offers second chances. With the unique intensity of those who have rediscovered a great love, the couple began to celebrate every moment, leaving behind the pain and longing of the past. They participated in the activities of the nursing home with enthusiasm, made new friends and enjoyed each moment as if it were unique. Their story became a living example that love and perseverance can transform lives, opening doors to new beginnings, even when it seems too late. During their years together, Dona Roberta and Geraldo lived intensely everything that the time apart had stolen from them, taking advantage of every moment to create new memories, laugh and love each other like never before. 10 years after their reunion, on a calm and starry night, the two left this world, serenely, side by side, hands intertwined in the double bed that Dona Roberta was initially reluctant to accept, but which ended up becoming an eternal symbol of their union. Their faces showed a deep peace, as if they were just beginning a new journey, now to a place where they would never have to say goodbye again. Together, they left a legacy of true and lasting love that will continue to inspire their family for generations, showing that genuine love, once found, remains unshakable. If this story touched your heart, the next video on your screen will certainly move you too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and activate the notification bell to follow our next exciting content. A big kiss and see you in the next story.